Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy T for 365 Horn. This is a horror movie discovery channel. I am just here to put as many horror movies on your watch list as possible. And we're going to be looking at every brand new horror streaming release for the week of September 15th. Plus, we're going to catch up on one and get into my trailer reactions. So let's get into it right now. Now we are going to get into the video, but before we do, please like and subscribe. And I myself had a pretty good week this week. My football team is 1-1. There was a couple people who've been asking in the comments exactly what team that I follow. And growing up in the west coast of Canada, back in the day, there was only really one team that had TV coverage for all of their games, and that was the Seattle Seahawks. So that is the team that I follow, but I wouldn't actually follow a team nowadays. I find that it's just all about contracts, and guys move around so much, so willy-nilly. This is really just like an artifact of the past, me actually like concretely following one team, and it's the only team I ever really do follow. So we are 1-1 going into this week. And the other thing I wanted to touch on was something that a user left in the comments, and this isn't like to point anybody out or anything, but they were almost like when I was talking about Weapons, wondering why I didn't go to the theater, or like, I can't believe you haven't seen it. And to be completely honest, the whole reason why I started this channel was because I don't get to the theater enough. You know what I mean? So I started to kind of look up these movies and exactly when they were releasing. And just after, doing a bunch of research and finding a bunch of like sources, I figured this kind of might be something that people value. You know what I mean? Because finding new movies is like a horror lover's kind of life. You know what I mean? So that's really why I started the channel. And that's why I just kind of stick to my streaming releases. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love the theater. I think it has a good environment, it's got a good experience, but I don't really feel the urgency or the FOMO that I used to. Like when I was young, for an example, when a movie was in the theaters, if you didn't see it in the theaters, like it might not come out on DVD for a year, like you might not see it for a year or two. Nowadays, like if I don't see something in the theater, like I'm seeing it within 3 weeks, like sometimes even a week or two, if they want to put it on premium VOD where they want the 10 or the 20 bucks. So yeah, I don't really feel the urgency to kind of go out, fight those crowds or, just pay all that money. Like I just like the comfort of my own home. And again, like I said, I grew up in western side of Canada. I'm from Canada, and weed has been legal in Canada, and I am a cannabis enjoyer. So, hey man, one of my favorite activities while I'm watching the movies, sit back, relax, do what I do. So yeah, definitely, I don't make it out to the theater enough, but please don't let that be any kind of indication of how much I love these movies and love this material. I promise you, when you could only see them in the theater, I used to go to every single release. I just don't really feel the FOMO and urgency now. So now I'm just going to get into a couple of movies that I did watch this week. And the first movie that I watched was I Know What You Did Last Summer, the new one. And it was all right. Like, this was a very middle of the road movie. I was hoping that I would be able to recapture some of that nostalgia. And it did do a good job of being like, it almost feels like a remake. It kind of mirrors so closely. I'm not going to give anything away, but really it was just the most cliche kind of milquetoast movie. It had some moments and it was enjoyable enough. Like, I wouldn't call the movie a waste of time, but I definitely wouldn't be spending premium VOD prices on it. The best part of the movie was the throwback cast, and it was just all right. And the next movie I watched this week was Weapons, and Julia Garner is amazing in that movie. That is a great movie. And that is a movie I highly suggest everybody watch. I'm sure when we come to the end of the year and we start looking at top 10 of the year, that is going to be on the list. It was just great, man. It had like good creeps and scares, like just some of the movement, like it just was like, like it really kind of got like on my spine. I don't know what to say, It really just kind of grated on my nerves, like some of the movements and just a couple of situations. I'm not going to give away any of the movie. And I really liked how it built up a really good mystery. That was one of the best parts about it. Like, it just was a great mystery. You were wondering what was going on, and they do this kind of non-sequential storytelling where they tell it from different points of view, and the way it like all comes together and the story is trickled through. Like, it's just a great movie, great ending, really creepy, actually had a couple of scare moments. So I highly suggest that you check out Weapons. And the last movie that I did check out this week was Strange Frequencies, Taiwan Killer Hospital. And again, this movie was just all right. Hey, I'm going to say this. This was not Ganjiam Haunted Asylum. I don't even know, if this was supposed to be a remake, I guess. But it really is not as good. Ganjiam just had way more effective kind of scare building. I just didn't really find the scares that effective in this. I don't even know this. I thought this movie was going to be more of a found footage, but I think we need to make a new kind of category called live footage, because it's like a found footage perspective, but they're live streaming. Like, this isn't a tape they found in the woods and we're like, what the hell, or what happened to these people? Do you know what I mean? So, and it was okay. Like, some of the blood was not right, and I don't know, they just didn't do a really good job of building up the scares, even though they did attempt a couple jump scares and some creeps. I will give it that. Maybe if you scare or creep a lot easier than me, like on a Friday night in the dark, the movie might be okay, but it just kind of gave me an overall feel that it just was kind of tame. So honestly, that one is free on Netflix, but there is so much good stuff on Netflix. Unless you have seen everything or just want something new, it's not bad, but I wouldn't highly suggest it. All right, and with that, we're just going to get right into some new movies. The first movie that we're going to take a look at this week is a straight horror named A Mother's Embrace. And this movie is available on Screambox and Prime Video. During a massive 1996 Rio storm, firefighter Anna and her team must evacuate a collapsing nursing home, but the mysterious residents have other sinister plans. It is directed by Christian Ponce. Okay, so after watching the trailer for A Mother's Embrace, I'd say that this looks like a pretty good flick. I didn't exactly know how to pin it down, whether this was like an old people horror or a cult or supernatural. The first element I liked was the environmental element, because you have this massive storm kind of trapping people, and it's like a old folks home full of like these ominous residents. So it kind of has the makings of a pretty decent mystery. And when it comes to the scares, well, they look all right. There's a few jump scares here and there. It's nothing really groundbreaking, but it's at least like passable. One thing I did want to give you guys a heads up when it comes to this film is that it is subtitled. So if you aren't really into that, you've been warned. Overall, A Mother's Embrace looks fine. It's nothing bad, but nothing really pops either. So I think that this one's going to get a regular to a little bit of a lower priority on my watch list.
Eu sou o subtenente Dias, do Corpo de Bombeiros. Fomos acionados porque houve desabamento. Se a gente precisar evacuar a casa, vai ter que ser antes que essa chuva piore.
Eu não sei quem foi que mandou vocês aqui, mas com certeza não foi nenhum dos moradores.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a straight horror named Night of the Reaper. And this movie is available on Shudder and AMC+.
Night of the Reaper, huh?
College student Dina visits home and is roped into babysitting. The local sheriff is mailed a piece of evidence and is led on a scavenger hunt to reveal the killer of another babysitter. It is directed by Brandon Christensen. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Night of the Reaper, this one looks like a pretty standard slasher. Now, even though I didn't see anything in the way of scares, there were a couple of solid creeps in there, and it looks like it might do a good job of building some pretty good tension. I also like that the film managed to work in a touch of mystery, because, you have this like detective element where they're trying to like track down this killer and unravel a slasher's identity. So that little piece of mystery could add some intrigue. But here's the thing. It all really feels just par for the course. I didn't really feel anything like compelling, or nothing really grabbed me. So yeah, at the end of the day, Night of the Reaper, it looks okay, but it just doesn't look like anything more. And so for that reason, I think it's going to get a regular to maybe even just a little bit of a lower spot again on my watch list.
This showed up on my porch this morning addressed to you.
Night of the Reaper.
It's so great to see you back in town.
I really appreciate you helping out tonight.
Hey, Max.
Hello, Dina.
Let's play hide and seek.
Are you downstairs? Are you in the dining room? Hey, Max. Are you outside?
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a drama horror mystery named Witchboard. And this movie is available on Apple TV and Prime Video.
If you liked that, then you'll love this.
A cursed witchboard awakens dark forces, dragging a young couple into a deadly game of possession and deception. It is directed by Chuck Russell. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Witchboard, this one looks like a fun cursed item horror. And yup, you got that right. This is the remake of the 1996 Witchboard, although it does look like they kind of changed up the story and gave it a little bit of a different narrative. Now, I've got to be totally honest, I haven't seen the original of this one, but at least this film, at least in the trailer, looks like it packs some pretty good creeps and scares. And even though you don't really see much gore either, one of the ad reads where they just put up like some words, it does say that this is a fun, gory ride, so hopefully we get some good blood and rawness there. I also like the possession angle in the film. I thought that that was an interesting element, and I think if the main character, Emily, can really nail the kind of duo personality possession scenes, it may be something to watch. Overall, I thought that Witchboard looked okay, and although it's not like knocking my socks off, it does look, like I said, kind of fun, so I think this one's going to get a regular priority on my watch list.
We must journey back. Back to she who carved this board. To stir its dark magic.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a drama horror thriller named Behold, because it does have a exclamation point at the end of Behold. And this movie is available on Google Play and Prime Video.
He's here!
While a husband and wife grapple with the end of their failed marriage, an evil entity manifests within their home. It is directed by Miran C. Torgoli. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Behold, unfortunately, this one looks like a little bit of a subpar supernatural horror. And I like that they're going for creeps, and even a few of them land, but mostly the setups for them, they just feel like really cliche. And now herein lies the rest of the problem that I had with the trailers, that I felt like the rest of the film just kind of fell a little bit flat. Like the acting, while it wasn't horrible, it was pretty bad. And at a lot of times it really crosses the line into this campy, kind of overacted realm. And I just didn't love that. Now, I find the vibe of this film is definitely B-movie, and not exactly in the charming way, because I said I wouldn't really mention it unless it was a little bit too much. And in this one, it just felt like a little bit too much. And even though I kind of like the idea because I love broken down relationships and kind of watching relationships deteriorate, but whatever monster comes from it, it really just looks kind of weak. And I feel like it's going to just suck the fear out of any of the scenes that it's in. Overall, unfortunately, I just found that Behold looks pretty meh, and I think that this one's going to get like a bottom priority on my watch list.
It's been rough, Peter.
We've talked about this so many times.
I know. But I'm doing better.
I actually believed you when you said you would be doing the work. You look unwell.
Oh, I'm sorry that I am struggling. What was I supposed to do? Huh? Just move on like you? Slap a smile on my face and pretend like nothing ever happened?
Next movie we're going to take a look at is another straight horror named Blood on the Bleachers. And this movie is available on Google Play and Prime Video. A psychology instructor and her senior class investigate a string of unsolved murders, targeting staff and students at their high school over 2 years, trying to identify the masked killer. It is directed by Chase Dudley. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Blood on the Bleachers, this one looks like another kind of meh, subpar slasher. But first, let's get into some of the good. So the first thing I did like about it is that it is set in that high school, so you get that classic kind of high school circle of friends setting. And with just like the differences in personalities and teenage cruelty, I really think we could get some good like humor and dynamics out of it. But unfortunately, the bad, this movie does come with, again, another B-movie sheen, but in the bad way, where it's like bad sets and kind of indie acting, and just felt a little bit wooden in that respect. I found even from one of the scenes they show in the trailer where they're having like a little bit of a press conference with like cops in the background, everything just looked very thrown together and just not really polished. Now, thankfully, the premise on this one does feature a serial killer who kind of hunts his victims with a knife, so he does stab and there will be some blood, but I can't see any of the gore in this film being groundbreaking. Overall, just being honest, Blood on the Bleachers, it does look a little bit underwhelming, and I think for that reason, it's going to get a very low priority, maybe even a skip off my watch list.
Mr. Reynolds, would you mind giving us a review of the other Austin Memoir high murders, please?
There were 2 more victims over the course of the months. First, Lindsay Crawford, biology instructor, murdered at home. 2, Jennifer Morgan, assaulted in her home's bathroom.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a comedy horror named Bad Things. And this movie is available on Prime Video and Fandango at Home.
Kiss this.
Who is infected? Who is the AI killer among them? A group of stranded teenagers must discover the meaning of being human in order to save the world and be back home in time for tea. It is directed by Anthony Thornton Hopwood. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Bad Things, this one looks like a meh to maybe decent kind of horror. I just can't be 100% sure exactly which way it's going to go. Now, first of all, I thought that the plot for this one was wild because you have like a virus outbreak, a hidden AI killer robot, and stranded survivors. It's just so many things kind of thrown at the wall at once. I feel like the film's either going to be like kind of fun or a total mess. On the plus side, the film does look violent because it's almost like they embody this like light battle royale where it looks like everybody kind of fights each other. So if they do give us some like brutal violence or some raw gore, the film could hit a little bit harder. But overall, I feel like Bad Things is a very weird one because it could kind of be a success, but it could totally crash and burn. And I don't know exactly how much faith I have, so I think that this one's going to sit at a lower spot on my watch list.
There is something out there. It doesn't want us here, and it doesn't want us home. It spoke to me, whispered.
This virus is the most advanced tech on the planet, and this new strain is so different. The host won't even know what's inside them.
All right, guys, last new movie we're going to take a look at this week is a horror mystery named The Exile. And this movie is available on Prime Video. In 1960s Bengal, a young man, Gauranga, is tormented by grief and guilt after his wife's tragic death. Venturing into a mysterious forest, he confronts his past and a looming supernatural menace in this chilling tale of loss and dread. It is directed by Saman Roy. Okay, so after watching the trailer for The Exile, this one looks like a meh to decent supernatural horror. But one thing I liked right off the bat is that I felt it really nailed this good, thick atmosphere because I found that it just felt dark and heavy. And I feel like the film is really going to attempt to lean a lot deeper too, because with grief at the center, it's really just going for that like darker, heavier narrative. But here's the unfortunate flip side. I think it's going to make the film run a little bit slow, and I don't think they're going to have like a really big focus on scares. And personally, I just didn't feel that the premise of the film, it really grabbed me enough. Because, now, don't get me wrong, I obviously do not condone adultery at all, but if I'm gonna watch somebody, like, eaten up by grief in a horror, like, adultery is, like, the edge of the line of the boundaries I want the film to push for the source of his grief and this horror. And what I really want is for this film to push the boundaries, and I get it, in different cultures, maybe different misdeeds have a lot more weight to them, so, you know, guilt is a lot bigger or whatever, but in the end, for us, I just feel like this one feels tame. And to top it all off, I gotta give you guys another heads up, this one is subtitled. So yeah, while The Exile looks like it could have like a pretty good deep story and just like a good atmospheric kind of horror, I feel like this one's just a little bit too tame for me personally. So I think this one's going to land at a lower spot on my watch list.
জঙ্গলের রাস্তাটা নিও না, ওটা ভালো না।
কেন?
কারণ এই জঙ্গলে এক অপদেবতার বাস, এক ডাইনি রাস্তা না।
So the last movie we're going to take a look at is another catch-up movie, and I did want to cover it because it's a movie that I really did want to see back when I had my puppy break, and it is supposed to be released on Netflix on September 20th, so by the time you're watching this video, it should be out, but I can't verify it, so I want to give you that heads up, and that is the horror sci-fi thriller 28 Years Later. And as of right now, this movie is available on Apple TV, Prime Video, and Google Play.
7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 32 the day.
A group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors. It is directed by Danny Boyle. Okay, so after watching the trailer for 28 Years Later, this one does look like a solid zombie flick. Now, the first thing I want to point out here is one of the reasons I'm really excited for this movie is because of just a good dose of nostalgia. I really like the very first parts of this one, and I find that it redefined those fast zombies, and I really loved it back in the day. Now, when it comes to horrors or even other movies, I just love fallen civilizations kind of trying to rebuild and just like dark post-apocalyptic worlds. And I feel like this one's going to give us like a gritty look at both. And of course, another thing that I'm expecting from this, because it's just become a hallmark of the franchise, and that is just like frenetic, fast-paced action and lots of blood. Now, for me, even though I haven't heard the best things, I think that 28 Years Later is kind of a little bit of a must-watch just because I've watched this franchise for 28 years, and I really want to see how it like continues and stuff like that. So I think that this one's going to earn a regular to maybe even a little bit of a higher priority on my watch list.
Wait, sit here. Sit. Auntie, what's going on? Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from this spot.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for another week of brand new releases to watch and stream. I hope you enjoyed this content, and if you did find a couple of gems for your watch list, please leave me a like and subscribe. Now, if I had to make a couple of picks this week, I think the first one's easy. We literally just covered it, and that is going to be 28 Years Later, mostly because I just love how it's a pretty gritty, dark zombie film. I love the fast-paced zombies, always terrifying. I love the post-apocalyptic world, and I really want to see exactly how this franchise evolves or moves on. I haven't seen it. I heard it could have some problems, but I'm just going to go in there with a fresh mind. And yeah, I've really wanted to see this one for a little bit, so that's going to be my first pick of the week. And for my second pick of the week, I think I'm going to go with the 2025 remake of Witchboard. Not only does it look like it's packed with some pretty good creeps and scares, but they do call the movie a fun and gory ride. It just has a good possession angle to it. It's, again, another nice, really big budget kind of polished film. So I do always like to kind of check out where the money's thrown and if those movies are good. And again, just as a cursed item horror, like Ouija board horrors or whatever, it just looks kind of fun. I want to see exactly the transformation that the main character undergoes and if it's really something that she can pull off. And it just looks like kind of another interesting, entertaining movie of the week. Well, guys, that's it for me for real this time, as I have got a ton of movies to watch. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have been taking care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
He's here!